Hello everyone, my name is Lanso90 and welcome to my review video for The Forest. Soon there will be a Let's Play on my channel of The Forest. I played it all the way through, but I wanted to make this review video first and review the game. I've started back at the start of the game because I didn't want you guys to be spoiled about any of the stuff, because I had all sorts of things in my inventory that would spoil the game. So we're back at the start, and I have it on peaceful mode as well, just so I don't get interrupted while I'm trying to do the review. So as with any fair review, I'm going to start with the pros of the game. What you'll notice right away is that the game looks really, really good. It's just very good graphics. I don't know what game engines it runs on, but it's like way higher quality than most indie games you usually see. Just take a look for yourself. This all looks very nice. And this is the video game settings that I chose to play it on, which I tried to pick settings that would make it easier for me to see things going on, just in case I got into combat and all that good stuff. So I'll show you the settings adjusted back for the start of how they normally are set. Motion blur, all these things. I think I had bloom on actually. Bloom isn't too bad. Color grading, original. Everything out. Brighten the settings back down. And it does look a lot more detailed this way. It's a lot more realistic looking. But it does make gameplay harder on these kinds of settings. So that's why I turned them off for myself. But I do think it does look better this way. But it makes gameplay more difficult. Also, this motion blur is like way too much. I hate motion blur. Like, I don't mind some of these other kinds of things, but motion blur is just not good. Turn that off. Aberration, film grain. You have all sorts of different color gradings that you can choose from. The one I liked, the one I played on, was Epic. It's a lot more vibrant and bright. Let's see. I didn't fix the ocean quality before, but that's okay. Weren't looking at the ocean. Grass density back lower. Close to where I had them here. You can just kind of get an idea of the options available to you. The blockbuster setting is like even more vibrant, but I think it was a little bit off over the top, like it doesn't fit how I like my games to appear. So yes, that's the part one of the visuals. The next thing is my FPS. The FPS quality in this game is amazing, especially for an indie game. Like, most indie games really struggle to have decent FPS. But this one, like right now I'm at 90 frames. I'm at 95 frames. It's going between like 85 to 100 frames here. So it's like, it's really good for FPS. And it never really got away from that in any circumstances I was in. I'm sprinting, I'm going really fast right now. Still not dropping under, it's not going under 80. And it was like that the entire game. And I do have a pretty beefy computer, but it is like, let's see, we're going on like 5 years old computer or something. It was top of the line at the time, but just to give you a reference point. I do think that pretty much everyone should be able to get 60 frames out of this game if you have an even decent PC. And for sure, you're never going to drop under 30, like, no matter what, I don't think. I don't know what they... Well, I do know what they... We'll get into that later in the con section of why exactly the game is getting away with this FPS level. Oh, let's see. That was the next thing. The survival elements of the game are actually pretty cool. Like, one of the things that really got me interested when I first saw the game, and made me get it when it was in the very first early access release. I was like, let's chop this tree down. See how the tree is like cutting? It cuts based on where you're swinging. No other video game does this attention to detail of just cutting a tree down. It also reliably falls in the direction of opposite you, opposite of where you're cutting. The physics are pretty good. See the logs, you can kick them around, they roll around on their own. You have realistic carry limits, like you can only pick up 2 logs. I can't pick up this 3rd one. Even 2 logs is kind of impressive, but they kind of try to limit you that way. For example, the physics, we can walk into these trees and they get pushed. Knocked back by the swings. They break into sticks when you hit them. Very nice attention to detail. Birds shaking their feathers. There's a lot of birds. It's probably not the best example of visuals there. Have so many birds on one spot, but illustration of the hunting and the like. Let's build a quick fire so we can just show you the building system real quick. So the game, the next thing that's really good about the game is it's very immersive. You notice that we only have 1 HUD item on our screen. That's the thing in the bottom right hand corner. It shows you starting from left to right. The bar that doesn't have anything filled in right now is a armor bar. Then you have a health bar. Then you have the thirst bar, the hunger bar, stamina, and tiredness. So, obviously armor, you can build armor and find armor that you can put on. Well, that's not entirely completely true, but we'll get into that more in the con section. But you can get armor and start filling that meter up, and it blocks damage. Then you have your health bar. You know what a health bar is. You can heal it up with meds. I don't think there's any med packs or anything. I think the only thing is medicine. This boy. You have thirst, which you can just drink sodas if you have them. Or you can let yourself get sick, and they might not let me drink because I'm not thirsty enough. There you go. You'll get sick though if you drink bad water. You have to put it on a fire first, so that's more immersion. You have to purify your water. Stamina, of course, you use by running and jumping around and swinging your weapon. See it dropping. Tiredness just caps your stamina, and it just drops slowly over time, but usually eating, sleeping, there's a few other ways too that you can find that'll restore your tiredness. You don't even have to sleep technically if you don't want to. So, and then this is like your next element. It's not even really a true HUD. It's a survival book that you have. Gives you the basics of survival. But it's only really day 1 stuff here. Just the basics of survival. And just kind of leaves you off on your own. Build a basic fire. Light it up. Throw leaves on it to make it burn hotter. You can press R to select something to put on the fire, so I just put a piece of meat on the fire and it has to cook. As you can see, the survival elements are pretty robust in this game. Fairly accurate. Let's food cook for a moment here. Let's see. Generally, the game is very immersive beyond just the survival elements. Like I said, there's not very much HUD or anything blocking your view. The game doesn't give you any pop-up tutorials. It doesn't hold your hand. So that about covers it for like the major points of the positives. Before we get into the negatives, I'll do a short, the mediocres. The game has a story. It's nothing you haven't seen before, though. You just crash landed on this island. Your son got kidnapped. You have to go find him. There's a lot of Resident Evil type stuff going on this island. We actually started here at one of the better spots in the game. It's interesting. I didn't build here in my playthrough, but this is one of the spots that was recommended by other players. There's a lot of food access here and water, of course. But yeah, the story, it's just kind of mediocre. You've seen it before. But it wasn't bad. So now we're going to get into the cons. So, I was telling you before about the FPS being so good. Well, the reason the FPS is so good is because the draw distance is really short. Now, you don't really notice it on, like, trees. Like, the trees, grasses, the bushes, they all seem to load in at pretty far distance. See if we can find a place that's kind of wide open. Maybe demonstrate it a little better. But they're not really the culprits. And the culprits that the draw distance is really a problem on is the cannibals. Cannibals... Man, I wish I had a reticle so I could actually point on the screen for you guys. Okay, see that tree between the two rocks over there? Cannibal draw distance is probably about this far. Beyond that, you don't see them. And they may not even be in the game. I don't really know if it simulates them outside of your vision or not. But I don't think it does. I think they spawn in out on the edge of your vision. So, cannibals can descend upon you extremely quickly, and it's not enjoyable. In fact, one of my base locations, I don't know if I'll be able to find it without a marker. One of my base locations, I didn't even build a very big base. I just cut off a peninsula that I found with a wall. You could see the trees pop in there. I cut off a peninsula with a wall, and the area was big enough that I cut off that enemies could actually spawn within my base. It only happened one time, but they 100% spawned in my base, because I really made sure that I had it sealed off. Actually, I really made sure I had it sealed off. They were spawning inside my base. Get up here to demonstrate it. So, usually I could see the bad guys, the cannibals, about this far off from up on the hill. We'll go up there. Just so I can show you like the draw distance a little better. Yes, I had two of the strongest enemies in the game appear within my base, and that was not fun to deal with. So like here, because it wasn't even from inside my base where they were spawning, it was me stepping outside my door, which was about here. So from here to that tree over there that I pointed out before, that's the draw distance of where enemies will spawn. It's not very long, especially when you're like deep in the middle of the forest. At least here, it's a little bit more doable because it's easily defended. You can kind of funnel them in. But if they can spawn from anywhere around you, that's kind of a problem. Again, there was one time where I was in my base. I was up closer to this tree, and then something spawned about right here. And, that sucked. So, I find that to probably be my sorest point with this game. Because, I think this game would benefit a lot from having a static amount of bad guys in the game. I don't know if you guys have watched me play the game Cataclysm Dark Days Ahead, but you can select static spawns. What that means is the game only has a limited number of enemies in-game, and if you kill them, they're gone forever. And nothing can just spawn. It's there. You can just run into it, potentially. And I think that's what this game would benefit a lot from, was having a limited number of enemies. Maybe they could scale up their difficulty or something to offset for that. which I guess that's another thing we can get into. I don't know if it would be considered a con, really, but yeah, they could scale up the difficulty or something, give a static amount of spawns, and I prefer that heavily to what I was dealing with. So in my playthrough, whenever I encountered cannibals, I fought them. You don't have to, or you're not supposed to technically have to, but I kind of feel that maybe you do have to. So you can go into crouch mode to get into stealth, like you would in most games. You can go into trees and bushes to get a little bit extra stealth meter. I never really messed around with trying to make sure it worked. It was not necessary. I played the game on standard difficulty, and I was able to cleave my way through it. I only died once, and I think it was an intentional death. The game, I think, tries to make you die one time because, man, I don't want to spoil it. But you do have to get, you have to lose a fight at once in order to get things to progress a little bit. Maybe you don't have to. Maybe you can really exploit it and get yourself out of that situation. But it actually does kind of benefit you to lose one time. You can lose one time without it ending the game. And that was the only time I lost. Every other time, it got close in a couple spots, but I made it through. So the game isn't really, I'm not going to bash it on being hard or anything. But from what I was seeing, it didn't really seem like stealth would help. Because again, they spawn pretty close to you. So if things can spawn close to you, stealth doesn't really help. Stealth helps when you know where enemies are and you can get around them. It doesn't really help when they can spawn anywhere. Alright, so the next con is a little bit more of a little bit weirder to deal with because it's the fact that the game is too immersive, right? So I showed you the book. Go to the main basics of survival. Alright, tells you to build a shelter. Tells you to build a fire, tells you which berries you can eat, it's done. That's your tutorial. There's nothing else in the game. There's no other tutorial in the game. That's it. Basically day one stuff. After that, you're on your own. There's no real hints anywhere about what to do. Try to find some examples over here. I have the map memorized at this point, so normally, you'd just be freaking lost as hell. There's no map. Spamming in. There is a map, but guess what? It's one of the things you can get by losing a fight once. It's not something that you just start with. You have to find it. It's not even a good map. It's a sketch map, hand-drawn kind of thing. It's not very good. It's not very accurate, and it fills out as you explore. It's not already filled out. So I should probably mention that. Trying to avoid this being a tutorial and trying to make it more just an explanation of what review. That's the word I was looking for. So like here there's some pictures. It's getting dark so it's hard to see, but it's a picture of the boat. It's like, okay, that's a clue, as I can go on this boat. Let's just do that for the sake of doing it. Hopefully you don't get eaten by a shark. There's sharks in the water. I never got eaten by a shark, but I didn't mess around with the water too much. Alright, so you're on the boat, so you're like, alright, the game's telling me I need to go to this boat. We'll whip out our lighter so we can see. So it's like, alright, here's another thing. Yacht. Great, I have this book about a boat. So can I read this book about a boat? It says in our notes. Here's a picture of it. Can't pick on the picture, so there's nothing like on the back side that I can read about anything. Oh. And now my magazine is just a cut-out piece of magazine. Well, maybe there's some kind of advice on here, something to tell us what we need to do next. Summer edition, yacht, fashion, brands of 1984, rudders, what butter is best for your boat. Well, And it just looks like this is a story element. It's just telling us that it's 1984, or close to it. Maybe we need to find a rudder. Maybe this boat is how you end the game. I don't know. Come on, lighter. We got another picture here. The teddy bear on the boat. Okay, can I... Maybe I can click that picture. Maybe just that yacht picture is one I can't click on. Oh, where is it? I don't know where it's at. So, yeah, okay. So that hint I can't even look at, even if it was a hint, and it's not really a hint. I don't really help me out here. Okay, what's this picture? Okay, that's creepy looking. I don't like that. Is there anything about that? No, can't click on that either. Just that I don't like it. It's just scary. Maybe this thing. Maybe this thing will tell me what to do next. Oh, missing Zachary. Alright, no, maybe I can grab this thing. Maybe it's not in here either. What about this cassette player? We found that cassette earlier. Surely there's something important on this cassette tape. Grab our cassette player. Actually, I have 2 cassettes already. So let's listen to this tape. Maybe this will give us some story. Maybe it'll tell us what to do next. Oh, it's music. Restoring my stamina and tiredness, but it's just music. Okay. Maybe they just gave you 1 music tape. So let's try to listen to this other tape. This seems important. It says Saw. Oh, it's more music. Okay. Is there nothing here? I can save the game and sleep here. Same thing I can do at home if I build a shelter. Oh, this says it's locked. Can I put... can't do anything. Well, maybe I missed something above deck? Got a rope. 2 rope. Alright, wait a minute, what? Okay, that's just more rope. For a second, I thought that was gonna be something. So you get the point. We just picked up a bunch of notes and stuff. None of them do anything. They don't tell you what to do next at all. You're officially back to square one. There's nothing on this boat that gave you any advice about what to do next. So the game's too immersive. If you don't look up a wiki, if you don't look at a map, you're not gonna know what to do next. It kind of just forces you to look at a map. You could explore for like ever, but you're not gonna find anything, man. You're not gonna find anything in this damn game. Like, there's this one instance where I was looking for a cave that was on the map. I was looking at the map to find the cave, and I couldn't find the cave. They're that hard to spot that you can't find what you gotta do next very easily, so you'd be exploring this map for hundreds of hours to try to figure out what to do next. And even if you did figure out that there were caves and you found their locations, there's things in the cave that you have to get to progress. And you have to do certain caves in certain orders or you're not going to be able to progress. So even if you do find a cave, you might just run into a dead end. Be like, well, I can't do anything else in this cave, I guess I'm done. So yeah, unless you have the wiki and everything, you're going to be a little lost. Was there anything else that I needed to cover? Oh yes. So you have to rush. And that's not to say that there's any kind of time limit on the game. Something that you got to get done in a certain amount of time. There's no actual mechanic forcing you to rush. However, as you kill cannibals in the game, there's a secret meter that you can't see anywhere. Like I said, there's very few HUDs. This is like your most robust info sheet here. It's just mostly the same stuff that you can see on your little marker down here. Fullness, hydration, health, energy, stamina, armor, cold armor, stealth, vision, sanity, strength, athleticism, hunger, days survived. There's not that much info for you. There's no... You can't scroll over any of that, by the way, and figure out what it means. It just is what it is. So, there's a secret meter that as you're killing the enemies, the cannibals and whatnot, they become more aggressive. They start sending stronger enemies at you, and stronger and stronger and stronger. And the game doesn't tell you this. So there's a very potential that if you're just lollygagging around, just building up a huge base, which I was starting to do, until I found out about that mechanic and was like, oh shit, I better go finish the main plot line or the game's gonna start really trying to fuck me. So I did, and I'm glad I did, because it wasn't too long after I finished that, and I was just doing sandbox stuff, just building my base up, that the two strongest enemies in the game spawned right inside my base. Right inside. So can you imagine that you're just trying to play the game not peaceful, because you do have to kill things to do it, and you can potentially do stealth mode. But I don't think it's very doable. At least not until you make something super secure. But even then, like I said, the spawn distance might even make a secure base irrelevant. The game could just start sending these high-end monsters at you, and you're just not going to be able to progress anymore. My island is starting to get infested by the highest level stuff, and I was like, I'm not sure how I'd be able to continue, really. Especially if I had lollygagged around. So that's a warning for you. Don't lollygag around. You gotta knock out that main quest as soon as you can, because it may get you in trouble later. It may make it too hard to finish later if you don't. That's all my comments. Overall, I do like the game. I did enjoy it quite a bit. I did put 40 hours in it, so obviously I enjoyed it. I played it all the way through. It just needs some work. I think a static spawn would fix probably like 80% of the problems. Because like that's most of my problems, is if the spawning was just fixed, there wouldn't really be any of those other issues that I talked about. They'd all fix themselves out. But other than that, I do love it. So I hope y'all enjoyed this review, and have a good day.